Let me dust off this microphone. We're back, everyone. It's another episode of The Angry Chicken. I'm Garrett Weinzerl. With me is Willie Dills Gregory and Jocelyn Moffat, and it feels good. Damn, does it feel good.
I know, right? Oh, man, it's been so weird with the crazy schedule we've had going in the past few weeks.
Yeah. Dills, I think your mic is still dusty because no sound is coming out.
Hold on, I don't know how to do this podcasting thing anymore. How do I do this? Which button do I push? Does this make me go? Yeah, it is weird. We have been putting out some shows. It wasn't like we were completely gone, but people were tweeting at me that they were sad that their commutes, I guess, weren't as good. So let's make those commutes better, people. Here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to get those good commutes, man. Got to get them good.
Yeah, I'm here for the good commutes.
Yeah.
So I was in Vegas like for a whole week after BlizzCon. And Garrett, you were in Maui.
I was in Maui.
And Jocelyn, you were up for 24 hours. So we all did weird stuff post-BlizzCon.
Pretty much. Yeah, it was nuts, man. Had a wonderful freaking honeymoon. Is that what it's called? Yeah, had a honeymoon.
Yep.
Driving is very precarious on those one-lane roads.
Oh yeah, you did the Hana Road thing, right?
Oh yeah. Which actually,
I've done
like,
that. It's amazing.
To Hana, totally fine. After Hana, to get to the state park with the crazy waterfalls, the most terrifying experience of my life.
Yeah. Well, okay. It depends on the car you get, and I saw that you guys got a Camaro.
Yeah, that was
totally not the like. If someone had talked to you before that would have been nice.
Well, you
really need a small car.
We read plenty of guides, and the only thing the guides warned us of was the bridges. It's like, a lot of the bridges go down to one lane. You have to take turns. We're like, well, that's fine. One lane bridge is one lane bridge. Size of the car isn't going to matter. What they didn't tell you was that like most of the road after the bridges was pretty much one lane, even though it wasn't marked as one lane.
Yeah, no. Even with a small car, it's precarious. I have no idea like what it would feel like because a Camaro too. You kind of like. You don't see over the hood that well. It's pretty long.
It's like you're trying to look out of a blast shield in a tank as you drive one of the widest cars ever built by man. Yeah. It was an experience to say the least. It was awesome when it wasn't that narrow. It was a fun car,
Mm-hmm. I'm sure. But yeah, no, I've done that drive. It's amazing. The some of the stuff that you get to on the other side is just that's. Nobody's really there. It's like really even though it's a super touristy thing to do is to go do that little drive. Not a lot of people end up doing it because it is like a whole day. You're not chilling on a beach. You're like hiking.
Yeah. Or they all take a tour bus and the bus like doesn't let them out until they get to the state park.
No, I would never do that. That sounds terrible.
It's more terrible being in a small car as one of those buses comes around a blind corner though. That's more terrible. So.
And the locals they're going fast. Like they've done the drive.
Oh yeah,
time.
yeah.
They're going normal speed. You're like white knuckling it, freaking out.
we came to the conclusion that West Maui locals really nice. Probably don't see very many tourists, so they're like really nice when they see an obvious rental car coming around their cliff roads. The Hana side of Maui residents, they are sick to death of us damn tourists, and they
just
run
them off the road.
They just want to get to the Costco, and they don't care what car is in their way. So. Anyways, yeah. So thanks everyone for being so patient with us getting back to our regular scheduled programs here, and thanks everyone for the well wishes. Katie and I have been favoriting so many damn tweets. You guys have been great, and we really appreciate it. And it feels good and exactly the same to be married. So.
You just had a big party. That's
pretty much, yeah. The party was great.
A great party. A really great party.
We put Jocelyn to work like you wouldn't believe.
I have so many muscles now.
And mosquito bites. Yeah.
And yeah, my feet are a disaster still, but it's fine.
Yeah, it was great. You were out there with the rest of us hanging lights until like midnight the night before, and then out there at the crack of dawn the next morning, the day of, still getting stuff going.
Putting out tables.
Yep.
Organizing flowers. Because I totally strike you as a flower organizing girl, I know.
Okay, just so everyone doesn't think I'm a raging sexist, going into this, Jocelyn was like, oh, I want to help with the flowers. So...
Yeah, I was like, you strike me as exactly the kind of person who would like to decorate with flowers. But all right.
So, anyway, yeah, so I'm sorry, and I appreciate the help. So.
Oh, it was fun. It was a great time. And I mean, tacos and ice cream made up for it.
yeah, not the tacos we usually talk about on the show, which is our tournaments,
yes.
Which I'm sure we'll be announcing.
I know that was the inspiration for your wedding.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our taco
wasn't
tournaments.
because
you're
like
just like, you know what'd be great?
it wasn't
tacos.
Yeah, it wasn't because like tacos are like our favorite thing ever.
No.
Anyways, so how's everyone's Hearthstone life treating them? You know what? I'm not going to let you answer that right now. I'm going to ask you that right after the big news this week.
Good news, everyone!
Of course, the big news is that League of Explorers has launched. It's out. It's here now. You can go play it. Why are you listening? Well, hopefully because you've already played it because it's been out since Thursday.
Hold on. You can listen and play.
That too. I like that. I like that idea. So yeah, the first wing, the Temple of Orsis, is out. We can go fight Xanar, Sunraider, Feryx, and we can do the Temple Escape, which I believe we all got to play at BlizzCon on the show floor. That's all out. Those are the first 3 encounters, and then if you beat those, we've got the Warrior class challenge, and we have the Warlock class challenge. That's all out. You can go play that right now. I had a hell of a time doing this because I was trying to do it on plane Wi-Fi, and I had to play against Xanar like 7 times because I kept getting disconnected.
Oh, it sucks. It's really not hard. It's really easy, but it is so fun. Like this, I haven't done the heroic version, so I'm not speaking of that at all. But this like was the most fun I had doing one of these adventures ever. Like I wanted to do it again. Yeah. Like normally I'm like you, Garrett. I'm like, get through it, get my cards, let's go build some decks. But after I did it, I was like, that was really interesting and cool. The whole dynamic of trying to wrest the staff away from the guy so that you can be, basically indestructible and you kill him finally. And then there's some interesting cards that he play. I'm talking about, this is Sunraider Feryx, I believe, right? The second one.
Yeah, the second one.
He has some interesting cards that like deal damage to both players and all kinds of stuff. Just the whole thing was designed so damn well, and I can't wait for the rest of it. Like, I just actually want to play it. I want to go through and try it with different decks. This was not my experience with the other adventures.
Yeah, I'm usually like me too, but I'm totally digging the crap out of this, and I actually I want to get in and dig into the heroic mode.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to see how it works.
Yeah,
I know. Look at this. What happened?
I know. What is going on?
They needed themes. That's what they needed. It really does feel like you're telling a story rather than just fighting through a series of bosses that may or may not really be connected to each other than some nostalgic reason because you fought them in World of Warcraft, right?
Exactly.
Like,
which not everybody has, right? Like, so those adventures previously would be even more disjointed if you weren't a Warcraft player.
No, it's very true. Yeah. If you just play this, you're like, I don't care who this guy is.
Yeah.
Why? Why do I give a crap? Just give me my cards. Let's go.
Why does this dude hate Rag so much?
Well, I think they did a decent job with the narration. I think they did a good job with the other ones. But yeah, no, this one definitely has a driving force behind it that I feel like the other adventures have not had.
Mm-hmm. No, like they're hitting their stride here with this adventure, and with the cards too. Like, so first wing, meta shifting cards, like right away. That's awesome. That did not happen with the other ones too. Sometimes you get, we're waiting on the Sludge Belcher wing, or we're waiting on whatever Mad Scientist.
Except like
we get one extra deck.
At the time, we weren't 100% positive the Sludge Belcher wing was going to be as like we were like, okay, this card's going to be probably pretty good. We didn't know it would still be one of the best 5 drops in the game till this day. But yeah.
But this one gave us one card that just changed everything. Holy crap.
I think it helps too, though, that we have so many more cards available now than we did like when Nax came out, that, some decks were just missing like that one other thing to make it viable. So I think that this is probably going to be a trend going forward where, we'll get 1 or 2 new cards and you'll finally be able to make, that super awesome deck work that was just missing that like one little piece. So I think we're going to see a lot of innovation. I'm really excited for it, but I think that just the size of the card pool now is part of why we're seeing so many big changes.
Well, no, absolutely. Like a Reno Jackson deck would suck in vanilla. If that card was around in vanilla, you would just be like, well, what deck do I make with one ofs when all my options? I have like 2 options in 1 drop and 2 options in the 2 drop. And now you can actually build just like a deck that's like on curve and just has like basically good cards. It's kind of like an arena deck. And then at one point I heal back to 30 and I win.
Yeah. And we've talked about that concept a bit on the show, which is just like, when you see new cards, it's like, well, some of these cards might not be good now, but they might be great down the road when more cards are added. Dragon decks being a really good example. When we got Black Rock Mountain, everyone's like, oh my god, Dragon deck's gonna be the best thing, and it was a total dud fizzle. And then TGT did you like that?
Dud fizzle?
It was a dud and it fizzled.
It was a dud that fizzled. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like the
It's a
ultimate
2-in-1.
dud.
It's two
Yeah,
for-
it's like, oh, this is gonna be such a great dud. Oh, the dud fizzled out. My God.
So excited for this dud. Oh,
Yeah.
it fizzled.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think there's other cards in here too. Like, and we'll see what like Brand does next wing and all that kind of stuff. But like cards that now we have the tools to go. Oh, okay. So fatigue. I have enough things to outlast aggro now. I can make fatigue work. And then like Reno Jackson's like the missing piece, right? I'm not sure though if like some of these other ones are that type of thing, but maybe like they're the piece that we needed for the next set, you know. But it's all very exciting.
I dig it. I dig it a lot.
So have you guys actually made any decks with these other than like a crazy one-off Reno deck? Have you guys been playing with any of these other cards?
Slightly. I've been playing with them in Arena because that's mostly what I've been doing, just to kind of mess around with the cards. But some of these are really, really good in Arena. I didn't think Jeweled Scarab was going to be as good as it has been in Arena. Just for the fact that when you play it on 2, it gives you a 3-cost card, and then you immediately are on curve going to turn 3. So even though it's weak on turn 2, it's like, oh, but here's the 3-cost card. So you can pick the best card to play the next turn. The Djinni of Zephyr, or no, wait, which is the other one? Yeah, the Djinni of Zephyrs is the card that I still want to make a deck with really bad, but haven't had a chance to yet.
Are we calling it the Genie, or are we just calling it Genie and ignoring the really bend over backwards way that Blizzard decided to try and spell it?
It is a genie, right? Kind of, but
it's actually a genie. Like,
yeah,
it comes from a dude that they talk about. Hey, rubbed a lamp, and out came Xenar.
The D of Z, and we'll just go there. That's fine. Yeah, the D of the Z.
We can just call it Daz.
That card looks awesome, though, right? Like that card looks like a 5-mana 4/6 is already an okay body. And then you start thinking about what you could do with, like, say, Paladin.
I was gonna say Paladin and Priest. Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks really exciting. So that's the next card I think I'm gonna try.
Genie,
people are saying Genie. Okay.
Sure. I really wanted to and haven't gotten around to messing around with Summoning Stone in something like a Mage deck.
Yeah, that card though.
Stone so bad.
I feel like that's just a fun deck right now, right? Like that's just gonna make a really fun, like, we'll have a good time with this. We'll see what happens.
We'll throw it in.
Just the fact that you play 5 mana for a 0/6 means, like, what else do I do that turn? Do I drop it on 5 and then hope it lives? Which it probably will.
Well, then you know what you should do? You should dust off your Casino Mage, because I'm still of the belief that deck isn't actually that good. It's just really fun.
Okay. I think the Summoning Stone Mage idea though is sound, because you can have a whole bunch of removal and then big removal like Flame Strike and all that kind of stuff after you play your Summoning Stone. So I don't know, maybe there's something there. We'll see.
That Pyro into Deathwing. That's
perfect. Yeah, see,
perfect.
that wins the game. That wins the game.
Yeah. What's your win condition? Well, it's to get to like turn 10 and hope everything goes perfect.
Yeah, and hope that my 0/6 has lived that long.
Or you just don't play it until turn 9 with like a 4-mana taunt or something.
Well, you can play it, and then you can play mirror images and protect it, and do all sorts of weird stuff. So yeah, no, for sure. It doesn't die to Big Game Hunter.
It could happen.
It doesn't die to Big Game Hunter. But Crazed Alchemist is gonna make such a comeback in the meta.
Yep. Crazed Alchemist and the Kodo are the Summoning Stone's natural enemies. I also really am excited for
you play around
Rumbling.
Kodo with mirror image, so it's fine.
Oh damn! Right? That RNG. Yep.
Oh, look at that.
Rumbling Elemental is, I think, the other one that I'm kind of excited to try out. But I think I'm gonna wait for Rand Bronzebeard for this one, because he seems to fit right into your Shaman Battlecry deck, right? You play this guy, your Battlecries go off twice. When you play Battlecry minion, you get the 2 random damage. So it's like, this is like your Knife Juggalo for your Brand deck. I don't know. It just seems kind of cool. I don't know if that's going to be good, but it just seems fun.
I'm really excited for Shaman, man. I know we already talked about this kind of during the live episode, but Sir Finley Mergleton is going to allow us to get rid of our RNGs all get out hero power, and we're getting a minion that has a positive effect when you use Overload. That's exciting as hell. I'm really
Who's
stoked.
also a 1/3-on-1, so you can basically get a good start with any of those cards, right?
Yeah.
And then follow it up with some cool stuff.
You could end up having a really strong start as a shaman, having a good luck or high chance of drawing a one cost card that you actually freaking want to play.
Yeah, and I think Shaman right now the problem has always been that they can't keep up with they're basically using their early turns to remove stuff or play weaker stuff, and then like the late game is actually decent, and plus you got things like Bloodlust to actually finish people off. So yeah, I think we're gonna see some really cool Shaman decks for sure.
You know what, Luckless in the chat room? I am always excited for Shaman, and I'm gonna keep always being
One of these days, Garrett won't be let down.
Yeah.
Stay hopeful, man.
Hey,
Yeah,
I don't
believe in.
I don't need to be hopeful. Pin Ping Ho, man, he was representing with the Totem Shaman in the World Championship. It's fine.
It only took the best Shaman player ever to make Shaman work. But sure.
Don't stop believing, Garrett. Don't stop believing.
I won't stop believing. Rogue fans didn't stop believing, and look where that got them.
That's a good point.
A bunch of representation in the World Championship.
That's a good point. Yeah, lots of rogues.
Bunch of people poo-pooing on rogues like they're dead. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that? The guy won $100,000 with one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just hating on the haters this week.
Do it, man. Shaman's got to look out for other shamans, dude.
You damn straight.
Who else is going to? Everyone else is picking on them.
Did you guys see I think it was a tweet from Dean, the bounce designer over on Team 5, saying that he was surprised that no one seems to be using Dark Peddler? Yeah,
I think the problem with Dark Peddler is that, it's what Scarab does is curves into 3, where Dark Peddler kind of reverses the curve and gives you a card that you'll then end up hopefully using later, and doesn't give it to you for free, like say Mad Scientist. So compare those two cards together, and it's like, well, Mad Scientist just plays the card that you get. So if this was like Discover a 1-cost card and put it into play, that card would be everywhere. That like Warlocks would be all over this thing.
I think if we ever see a Discover card that has and put this in the play on it, that we're all going to lose our minds, unless the stats of the card that has Discover on it are just complete and total trash.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's Discover a 1-cost card, I don't think that would be unfair, because we literally have a card that's Death Rattle play a 3-cost card.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or well, in Mage, but still, and a very valuable card that could change the game. Here, I think it would be okay because it's essentially a Battle Cry 1-cost card. It's kind of like Mad Scientist in a Paladin deck, which you really don't even see, even with Secret Paladin. But I think without cheating the mana curve, it doesn't quite work out yet. But I don't know. I haven't tried it enough.
The only thing I could possibly see is like the idea being that if you have that 1 mana card that you've discovered, then your next turn would be like life tap, play your 1 mana card. So you're absolutely getting something to play along with your hero power on turn 3, but yeah, that's the only way I could see that. Yeah,
I mean,
still, because it's basically you're still curving out. Yeah,
but you're not behind if you life tap on 3 most of the time.
But imagine, but Jocelyn does make a good point. That's better than the other scenario where you didn't have something to play on 3 anyway, and you also didn't have a 1-drop to play on top of tapping.
But okay, so if we're talking Zoo, I'd rather just play Imp Gang Boss on 3 than play whatever 1-drop I got. Now here's the thing: it's like every time we've seen a card like this, it's cheated the cost at some point. Like think about Unstable Portal, like grab with whatever and have it cost 3 less. You end up cheating it. You're paying a tempo cost, and then you cheat the mana cost with the card you get, and then that's what makes it powerful.
Yeah.
Here, because of the fact that you're not allowed to do that, like this isn't doing the same type of thing. You know what I mean? So
True.
You're playing a weak 2-drop to then not get a benefit like later, other than just I drew a card that is specifically a 1-drop card that may or may not be that good in my hand, right, or in my deck. So that's I think why. But someone will figure this out. Someone will figure out maybe we'll have our Gazlo Warlock deck that gets an extra 1-cost spell and then gets an extra mech later, and I don't know, something.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you. How are our kind of initial impressions of Discover after having actually gotten to play with it?
I really like it. We should probably talk about what Ben Brode said about it, and then talk about what we think of it, because that totally changed a lot of how I thought about it. Yeah,
it did. So if you guys missed it, Ben Brode confirmed on Twitter that Discover cards are 4 times as likely to give class cards. This we talked about on the live BlizzCon episode that the way Discover works is you're going to see neutral cards or class cards for the class you are playing. You'll never see class cards for class you are not playing. But this is information that wasn't given at BlizzCon that is huge in terms of the way that the game plays and the way that Discover works. So it's heavily weighted in class-specific cards' favor when you play a card with the Discover mechanic.
Yeah, and that's kind of weird because, I mean, on Twitter, he said, sorry if this didn't come across in the announcement. And I'm like, hey, guys, you barely even said that it was just class cards and neutrals. Yeah, you definitely didn't tell us anything about the weighting of the cards. Yeah, the weighting of Discover at all. Like, talking about, like, not coming across. You didn't even mention this.
No. He very specifically said neutral or class specific, whatever, like to make sure that, okay, neutral minions can also come out of it. Never once mentioned anything about it being weighted. Never once at all.
And if you remember, like, the original announcement by Eric Dodds, the way he worded it was super weird. He's like, you'll get a card, a neutral card, or a card that's good for you. It's like, what the hell does that mean?
Just say that's class card. In the opening ceremony, it was like a card that's good for your deck. And you're like, wait, what?
What does that mean? Are you going to
figure out what card is good? How?
Well, we baked archetypes into the game, and if you're playing Zoo, you're gonna get a Zoo-like card, and if you're playing, that's like well, that's definitely not what he means because that's insane. Yeah. But that's the way he said it. That's what it sounds like. Just say class-specific card. Like I get, I kind of get it. Like, you know, that when Dodds was up there announcing it during the opening ceremony, you know, that's you really have to sell it. It has to be quick and it has to be snappy and it has to be easy to digest. But I don't know, take 3 more seconds to really explain that because it confused the crap out of me. I was like trying to flag down, you know, Young Woo in the hallway, like, hey, what does this actually mean? And I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't have to do that.
Well, you shouldn't have to after Ben Brode's like in-depth, detailed explanation of all of it, right?
Well, I didn't after that. Ben Brode did a good job of explaining it after the fact, but I thought
but he didn't explain this part at all, and that's I think, you know, this is what happened with Arena. Like, I would like it if just at one point in passing they say, by the way, you're more likely to draft Arena cards in TGT that come from the TGT set. Oh, by the way, we've weighted Discover cards. You don't even have to say 4 times. You could just say you're more likely to get a class card than a neutral card. Just say that, and that would have been okay. But he never mentioned that at all.
I don't even think you need to undersell it. That's exciting. That's a feature. If Hearthstone was a boxed product, that should be on the bullet list on the back. That's awesome. Tell me that. Get me hyped. Well,
class cards are better on average than neutral cards. That's just kind of how it works. You get to have OP cards in your class cards because you can't, you know, have a whole deck, whatever. We could go into that later, but they're generally better. So knowing that immediately makes Discover better, right? So, yeah. So I'm more excited about Discover now that I realize, I'm going to get good cards out of Discover. Okay.
I definitely did notice when I had any Discover cards. I guess it would have been in the class challenges, the Warrior and Warlock challenges, that when I was pulling Discover cards, I was getting usually 2, if not 3 class cards. And I was kind of like, that's kind of weird. And then now I understand why.
Yeah. But it really does make it better. And that's what I was saying. Something like the Scarab, you know, it's now essentially to me, unless it's like Freeze Mage or something specific where I want only cards that come from my deck, I think it's like better than Novice Engineer, right? Because I'm guaranteed, like, a Novice Engineer will pull whatever card. Doesn't necessarily mean I now fill my curve out and have something to play on 3. Whereas I play the Scarab, and I'm like, guaranteed to get a 3-cost card that if I don't have a 3-drop in hand, will give me a turn 3 play. So that's a pretty big deal. And the turn 3 play will be something good. If I'm playing Mage, it'll be a Secret. It'll be a Flame Waker. It'll be something that's going to actually do something for me.
It sounds like
that makes the card way better.
It sounds like you've made quite the turn, Dills, because you kind of hating on the Scarab when we first talked in the preview.
Yeah, no, when we talked right after BlizzCon, I was like, this doesn't seem good. But, you know, thinking about it more, seeing it in action, especially in Arena. In Arena, curving out is so important, right?
Being able to have tools that help you fix an awkward starting hand, that's important.
No, absolutely. This is what... it doesn't work quite the same as, like, say, something like Innervate, right? But it still helps you make sure you get something out on the next turn. And that's in Arena, too, that the 3-cost cards are the most awkward cards to fill your deck out with. There's, like, less high-quality cards out there. But if you know you're going to be able to get a class card pretty much every time, it's going to be pretty good. Yeah, I like it.
I also like being on the receiving end of Discover. I like, it's random, but it has a range. So I like when I see it played against me, I start having to think about things that are outside of the deck archetype I know that I'm playing against.
Yeah. No, that's a really interesting fact as well. Like in Arena, you can't really plan on anything, right? So you just kind of go, okay, well, now I know he has a 3-cost card, so I want to make sure I get something out that's going to match whatever it might be. But yeah, in Ranked, you're going to have to go, okay, how long did he take to think about that? Oh, he must have had a decision. Okay, so now I know it's like whatever. But like that's all the information you're going to have. You're not going to have any information based on the deck type or anything. So.
Yeah, you react differently depending on Arena and Constructed. It's funny.
Mm-hmm. And this is what they talk about with this is the controlled randomness I really like, where this will increase the skill level, right? A player will have to really think through which card to pick. Then the other player will have to really think through which card they may have picked and why they may have picked it, right? So it's going to make tournaments that actually use these Discover cards really interesting.
Yep. Watching. You're giving the casters so much more to talk about. For the audience to see. You're giving the audience so much more to see, so much more variance to kind of enjoy in their tournament games. Even if we have archetypes that get baked in and we see the same archetypes from now until the next World Championship, at least if we get a little more, some more Discover cards. I don't feel like the small amount that's in here is really enough to make it that exciting, but still we'll have scenarios where we see more and more different cards that we weren't expecting. But also some type of player agency in the cards that are selected and played. Yeah.
No, I mean, think about what Piloted Shredder did for tournaments, right? There's like the Piloted Shredder Dream, and now there's going to be like the Jeweled Scarab Dream or whatever. But it's. I just think this is what I like about what Hearthstone does with randomness, and I want more of this style of randomness. I want more of this kind of controlled chaos that these cards bring. Yeah. And so far, the tournaments have already been cool. Seat Story Cup, man. What little I got to watch, everyone was actually using these new cards, even though there's only 8 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 cards. Holy crap, we got 10 cards.
10 cards, man.
First wing, Jesus.
45 cards in 4 weeks instead of 25 in 5. So larger.
It did feel like every single time it was just like, and you get this card and this card and this card. And I was like, whoa, okay.
It was like, really? Yeah. Just give me 1 card at a time, man. That's all I can handle.
It was like every time I clicked through a card, it was like, and then again. And I was just like, oh, man, how many are you throwing at me right now? It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well, we haven't had a chance to talk about the Hearthstone World Championship Grand Finals, guys. We recorded the show after the first night of BlizzCon.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
This is true.
We tried to talk all about League of Explorers, and then these 2 weirdos from Team 5 showed up and got us off track.
Yeah.
And
worst show ever, man. Nothing good happened.
Yeah, that's definitely not in my memory banks as one of my most fond podcasting memories in the history of anything ever.
No, not mine either.
No.
While we're wondering things out loud, totally not asking questions.
Oh. We got scolded by Lindsay the next day.
We did.
Yeah.
A little bit.
in a fun, friendly way, folks.
Yeah, in a fun way.
I loved it. But yeah, so the World Championship overall, I feel like was pretty great.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I dug it.
Right up until the finals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, but I thought what happened was Osaka and Tice was kind of like the best match of the tournament. When you see in the championship game of the whatever NFC, and then those 2 teams clearly are the best, and then it's then the Super Bowl happened, and whatever. It was kind of like that type of thing where after that, how good that match was and how on both of those players were, making plays that most of the world doesn't see, and they were both making them back and forth at each other. It was just kind of okay, whoever gets this, they deserve it. And poor Hot Form had to go up against, the guy who won that match. So, not saying I don't think Hot Form actually had a chance in the finals. I don't think with the way the cards were drawn, there was any way he could have played differently that would have made him win.
Right. That I was gonna follow it up. Not to take anything away from Hot Form, his draws were pretty rough. Especially compared to Osaka. But also don't think...
It seemed like Osaka just top decked everything. It's like casters are like, well, if he top decks blah blah, then he's totally gonna win in 2 turns. And then he had the perfect top deck, and they were like, what?
No, Jocelyn, they said, oh my god, he top decked blah blah. That's what they said.
But he also he played perfect. I was trying to find misplays on his part, and actually he did have one misplay in the Tice game where he actually did miss lethal, but it was a weird situation that doesn't often come up, where he had to attack with a patron before it moved over from what should we call flame tongue or something like that, and then make another. It was a weird situation, but that was the only mistake I saw him play, and he still won that game. So. Whether or not the draws were one-sided or not, Osaka played like a champion and deserved to be the champion of that particular tournament, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I loved watching, and it's going to sound so weird, but that Freeze Mage mirror match, that was so intense. That was probably the most intense Hearthstone game I remember in a really long time. And I'm just when they first queued into it, and they were like, it's a Freeze Mage mirror. I was like, oh man, this is going to be so freaking boring. And then I'm watching it, and I'm going, oh my God, what's actually happening right now?
Hearthstone just became chess.
Yeah, and their faces were just so crazy intense. They were concentrating so hard, and then there was still another match after, another game after that. But it was just man, oh man, it doesn't even matter who wins this one. They're spent. It was crazy. Good on Osaka after that whole Tice match to go into.
Well,
the
yeah,
finals,
Tice actually won that mirror match too.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so and it came down to some really interesting stuff because basically the mirror match. They both have a certain amount of damage in their decks, right? Mm-hmm. And none of the damage is really going to come from minions. So it became basically a matter of who was going to do the math in their head about what was going to happen once they got to fatigue. And there was actually a turn.
Pinged his own
there's
face.
Actually a turn where he pinged his own face to make sure. But in retrospect, when you look at it, the fact that Tice didn't ping pretty much gave away, and the fact they both do was in each other's decks, gave away exactly what was going to happen, which was that he was going to Fireball Frostbolt, and he was at 10, and then he would fatigue the next turn to finish him off. So when he pings his own face, now he can't do that because he does exactly 9, and then it triggers the Ice Block instead. It's a bunch of weird stuff that you don't usually see in Hearthstone games, but I thought the weirdest stuff was stuff to make sure they didn't burn a card, flame striking an empty board and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they both knew exactly what the matchup entailed. They both knew how to play it, and anybody else would have lost to either of those guys. Wouldn't have been able to come up with the exact sequence of events that ended up unfolding. But got to give it up for Tice. He played that one perfectly, and when it came down to it, he lost to a guy who played just maybe slightly better and drew slightly better. So either one of those guys could have deserved to win that match. And like I said, whoever won it was probably just going to win the tournament at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It was nuts. I mean, it was Kaka and Tice too coming out of the group stage. Those were the two guys. Those were the juggernauts. They had the two best records. Tice had the best, and Osaka had one more drop game than him. Yeah. I was rooting for Tice, but go Osaka.
I was
man.
too.
Yeah.
Little
But Osaka's been a good player for a really long time under the radar, so it's kind of it's similar to the Firebat thing, right? Just the guy who's just been crushing for a long time, but not really a lot of people talking about him.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if the trend of completely and totally lackluster finals continues for a few more years, because man, when StarCraft 2 first came out and we started having GSL finals and then BlizzCon finals, it was just terrible finals after terrible finals after terrible finals. The best games were always in the semis.
Yeah.
And the finals would always be a raffle stomp.
Yeah. At some point, the two best guys have to go through each other, right? So.
Yep.
Yeah. Although that wasn't how it was this year, was it?
No. This
I heard
year
that the StarCraft finals was insane.
This was the final Heart of the Swarm WCS finals. Because Legacy of the Void is out as of last week. Yeah.
Life and SOS.
Life versus SOS. Yeah. Two, as old school as you can be in a game like StarCraft 2. They were old school GSL Codes champions.
Totally in their 20s, man. Over the hill. Yeah.
It was the perfect send-off for the end of the Heart of the Swarm era, man. If you have not watched the finals for WCS for StarCraft 2 this year, go watch them. Ugh, amazing.
I was watching it for a little while. Actually, it was so packed. Okay, so let's just talk about what esports was like at BlizzCon, because
overwhelming.
We were watching Hearthstone, and then we went. So I think I was standing with you next to the stage, right, Joss? And then it ended. Yeah. Everyone went crazy. I tried to go to Heroes, and it was like standing room only at Heroes, and people were going nuts. And that was the semis at that point. That wasn't even the finals, which, by the way, it was another lackluster finals. But whatever.
No, I disagree with you.
Well, okay, good games, but
it was a 3-0. But if Cloud9 had made one little misplay in any of those three games, it would not have been a 3-0. That was a
score made it look worse than it really was.
Yeah, it was a close finals. It was way better.
Then I went to try to go to StarCraft, and they weren't even letting people into the massive stadium because of like fire danger. And I was like, "What?
Fire danger?
This is crazy."
Oh man, yeah, that got really. It sounds like you may have gone after I did, because when I first tried to go over to the StarCraft finals, they weren't letting people in, and some of the attendees were getting so angry and like in the face of the workers. And granted, some of the workers kind of dickish, as they are every year. I don't know where they find these random event workers, but they just always seem like such a-holes. But I don't know. I didn't feel like they were being out of line. They were doing their job. Whoever was calling the shots was like, "Yo, fire marshal says shut this shit down."
Yeah, nobody else can come.
What can you say to that? Like, and people are like in their face cussing at them, and I'm just like, "Whoa, I'm just gonna."
But I want to watch my video games.
I'm just gonna go stand over here quietly.
I actually
they had
went in and
overflow
Clark got me a seat.
too.
So I saw Clark Petrie. I sat next to him. He was saving like 4 seats. It was crazy. Sorry, you were saying.
He's a big dude, so there's
no one's gonna mess with him.
Yeah, no one's gonna mess with him.
Yeah,
you can have as many seats as you want, sir.
Yeah, I eventually got in and got to see it, and then I checked Twitter. I'm like, crap, the Heroes finals are starting, and I left and stood and watched the Heroes finals. So, BlizzCon, third day. We need a third day, right? Yeah.
We absolutely need a third day. I mean, like, I think, yeah, we were talking about this earlier, and it's just like, it seems like you're always missing something no matter what you choose to go see. I really think they need to do like day 1 panels, here's all the new crap. Day 2 and day 3, just esports. Like, just
it
all
gives
the
more time to play too, right? Because don't you feel like if I spend any time waiting in line, I'm just missing something? And I want to play all the stuff, but
the only thing I played was Hearthstone.
Anything.
Yeah, I played Hearthstone, and that was it. I didn't have any time to do anything else. It was just straight up Hearthstone, and I played 2. I played once as a rogue, once as a shaman through the temple, and that was it.
Now, hold on, guys. I believe I'm not. I need to ask you how you plan your thing out, because clearly you don't know the whole point of having a band like Linkin Park play. It's not to go watch them. It's so you can go play games with almost no line, because you have good taste in music. Depends on who you talk to, though.
Some people were really excited. I think, yeah.
But
I know it was super exciting.
The three of us were not. So what were you guys doing during Linkin Park? I was playing a Demon Hunter.
Okay. Well, actually, Demon Hunter you could play at any time the whole con. Like, nobody was in line for that. It was so weird. It's like World of Warcraft is what we used to all come for, and now like it was like the Overwatch line was insane. And like Demon Hunter was like, "Yeah, you want to play some World of Warcraft? Anybody?
We're over here, guys."
Yeah. But actually, Demon Hunter was super fun. But yeah, no, you're right, Garrett. That's the time. But wouldn't it be better just have a whole extra?
No, I agree. I'm just poking fun at a band I'm not a fan of. No, it really is. There's a lot of overlap, and I don't. To a certain point, I worry, like, is it just us? Is it just because, like, the three of us and our circle of friends are just hardcore, raging Blizzard fans and we like pretty much every game they put out? I don't think that's the case. I'm sure most of the attendees of BlizzCon have a lot of intersecting interest with all of the IPs at Blizzard. And I don't know. I mean, I know this is an insane thing. It's not as simple as being like, okay, we'll just tack on a third day. It's easy peasy. Planning an event of this size and of this magnitude is a hell of a lot of work. But
no, I'm sure. Yeah.
Every single Blizzard game is a bona fide esport, more or less, except for Diablo, and it's Overwatch. Let's be honest, it's gonna be an esport.
Oh, it's gonna be an esport.
So come next year, we're gonna have one more giant, massive World Championship finals to have to worry about. I'm very curious to see as Overwatch grows, how BlizzCon is going to shake out, how it's going to actually fit everything into 2 days.
Yeah, well, they gave us 2 days for when they had essentially 2 games. Well, and Diablo was like in that kind of, but before like Diablo 3, when it was still D2, still had 2 days, and it was basically StarCraft and World of Warcraft, right?
Yeah.
And now we have 5, 6 games or whatever it is, and it's still 2 days.
Yeah.
That's twice as many games, 3 times as many games. So
Math, it's hard.
Yeah.
And esports are an actual thing now. Like, it's not just that there's a bunch of different games to cover and to play and to see. It's that there's also these events tied to those games. So it's not just that we're getting information now and, maybe we've got some WoW arena finals. It's like we have StarCraft made esports a thing. So now there's just like these huge 2-day events for every game on top of all the cool new stuff that everyone wants to hear about. Like, it's way, way, way too much for 2 days.
Yeah.
It used to just be the StarCraft, and then some people who played WoW Arena watched that.
Yeah.
But mostly it was the StarCraft thing, and now it's like, no, now we're going to have 4 giant tournaments. And it's not even 2 days, it's a week or whatever for each one. It's just too much.
Back in my day, it was so easy to enjoy esports at BlizzCon.
We had one esport. It was great.
And it was StarCraft. And the first time they brought over...
And no one could play it except for the Koreans.
Because of the jet lag. But we all lost our minds when they walked out on stage.
Yeah, now there's actually a way for Americans to win at BlizzCon. What is happening? What is this?
Oh, man.
And Swedish people.
Yes, exactly. The Americans and the Swedes finally have a chance.
Yeah. Well, moving on from the World Championship, Hearthstone Esports just keeps on going. The World Championship didn't slow things down at all. That is not like the end of 2015 Hearthstone Esports. First off, probably the big news everyone's talking about right now is a bunch of major tournaments going back to the last hero standing format. DreamHack Winter, it's like less than 2 weeks away, and it's getting rid of Conquest. It's going back to last hero standing. It's not going to have bans though, so no banning. But it's got a $40,000 prize pool, a huge open bracket, and it's also going to be the first tournament to dish out World Championship points for the 2016 Hearthstone season. So what is going on, guys? Because this year, it had to, you had to be a Conquest format. You had to have X amount of open slots, which obviously DreamHack more than has enough open slots. But that's huge. What? I'm confused because we haven't heard official word from Blizzard on why exactly DreamHack could not use their official.
Well, I'm going to assume that Blizzard's changing it. If that's going to give out points for not.
That's my thoughts too, but it's kind of odd that we're having to piece it together from news like this from a non-official Blizzard tournament.
Well, and the thing is too, right now they haven't actually said how you're going to qualify for next year's World Championship. So really, anything right now, it's just a total free for all. Tournaments can do whatever they want because it's not like Blizzard goes back and retroactively awards any points or anything like that. So right now, there's really nothing tying this news to what Blizzard may or may not do. I think Blizzard probably is going to move away from Conquest, but they're not getting any points for this, right?
Yes, that's what we were just talking about. They're giving World Championship 2016 points out.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is the first tournament that actually gives that points. So, that's a pretty big indicator. I really hope that what they do go to is back to last hero standing, but with a comprehensive ban system that makes a lot of sense and has some interest to it, and maybe even some small amount of sideboarding or something. So I do think what ended up happening with Conquest was you lost the ability to be innovative because you had to win with every deck. So why would I ever take a deck that's might be awesome, might not be awesome? Whereas with last hero standing, you can bring a deck that you think is pretty good, but you're not sure. And if it doesn't win you a game, that's okay. I can still win with my other decks, right? So that's kind of what ended up happening. And that's, I think, why people are moving away from it. There's just no room for innovation, right?
Yeah, no, I agree entirely. And for those of you listening, if you're newer to Hearthstone Esports and you haven't seen a tournament happen, use the last hero standing format. If you win with your deck, you keep playing with it, and if you lose with a deck, that thing it's locked out. So it's basically the opposite of Conquest, more or less. The old version used to have bans, and DreamHack is not going to have that, which appeases me because I did not like last hero standing, and I hated bans. So at least this is kind of meeting me in the middle.
Bans was the big problem because we knew players for playing certain types of decks. And then so when you saw a player all of a sudden show up at a tournament and whatever deck they're known for, they're not allowed to play, that really kills the excitement around that player. So I think that was biggest reason why I, at least myself as a viewer, didn't like last Hero Standing is because I never got to see my favorite players playing what they were known for. So if they're getting rid of bans, I think that kind of works around that. But then at the same time, it's just like...
Or Conquest, you didn't see it either because
Yeah.
they were like, well, I'm known for Priest, but Priest sucks, so I'm not playing
Priest,
that.
yeah, I can't beat Patron with Priest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no like perfect thing, but I think maybe what you could have is you could have a last Hero Standing where you get to lock one deck, and then the opponent gets to ban one other deck out of the rest of yours. So you could say like, I get this deck, you cannot ban this deck, and then they ban one of the other ones or something like that. That's why I was saying like some sort of a ban system that makes sense, because I do think
like picks and bans.
Well, yeah, but I do think like Garrett, you were saying that like that ban system wasn't that great when it was like best of 3, bring 4 decks, ban one. And the reason why I was always like that is because everything was like there's always one better deck than every other deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would rather see it where like you don't ban because there's one OP deck. You ban because your lineup comparatively, you're just looking for a deck that like you have the worst matchup against, and not, oh, that's the best deck, so I ban that one every time.
Well,
I think that's really where the problem ended up, right?
I mean, and there's no way to guarantee that won't happen again. There,
Oh,
a new king will rise.
Sure.
There'll be a new patron on the block, and sometimes if there are bans, that is what's going to be banned, not because of the matchups. But I don't know.
But if that happens, I do think that the scene is like experienced enough and deep enough at this point that players can bring decks that will beat that best deck, especially when they know like they have to beat that one deck if they're going to win at all. Because if there's a best deck that just wins all the time, everyone will be gunning for it, right? So it will make that deck less good. Whereas in like Patron with Conquest, like, well, I know I'm going to get one win with Patron at some point, so I better bring that, right? And that was kind of like what was ended up happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what the perfect system is, but I would like to see something where it's not just here, bring 3 decks, you bring 3 decks, now go, and then there's no like any other strategy involved. I don't know. I think that Hearthstone kind of needs that back and forth, but like that's not just the play, like something else that mixes in.
Yeah.
I wonder if possibly they're removing the whole like stipulation where you had to have the same format as what they were going to play at BlizzCon, because obviously playing on the ladder is not Conquest format, right?
Well, so, I've been griping about that for a year now.
Yeah.
So I think like maybe they've just said like you can have whatever format you want, and maybe they're going to let the tournament scene kind of work out what the best format is, and then announce in a few months, like, okay, this is the format that seems to be working the best. This is what we're going to use for BlizzCon.
Okay, Brian Kibler, it is time for you to get off your can and finally do your one deck tournament you've been talking about forever.
Well, how about this? Blizzard just goes like, all right, let's see what you guys come up with. And then at the end of the year, they go, well, this one worked pretty well. Let's have a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit. And then they like do like what Magic does, where it's like the world champion wins in multiple different like ways, essentially. I don't know how it's going to work, honestly. We've got a year of cards and expansions and all kinds of crap before we get to this point, so all of this is like total speculation. But I think you're absolutely right, Jocelyn and Garrett. I heard you talk about this before, like, yeah, locking everyone into whatever your world champion is for the whole year. We watch just that, and that means it's not that much fun. Right? So
yeah, you were about it there, just a hair.
Yeah.
But I think I got. I don't have to apologize for something you don't have control over.
It forced all the tournaments to be the same, and then we, as fans watching, we had to watch the same tournament over and over again. So yeah.
No, that was it got a little old, really fast.
So there was actually another tournament this weekend too, Seat Story Cup 4, which used that same Last Hero Standing format. And it was, I don't know if you guys got to watch a lot of it or not, but I didn't, because I was doing Extra Life, but I actually went back and watched some of the matches today. It was pretty freaking crazy. Like, I saw some of Frodan's tweets this weekend. He 3-0'd Tice, which is insane.
Like, with Secret Paladin, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Still, it's...
It is still.
I don't care if I'm just baiting with headlines there. I love that headline bait. Like, Frodan 3-0's Tice. Like, just,
right?
The fact that I can say that and it is actually true, it's a wild Hearthstone world we live in right now.
So yeah, Tice actually tweeted that Last Hero Standing is another mindset, saying it was a big mistake for not banning Paladin and having something behind for it. So I can completely see that. Like you go from doing the whole World Championship thing, which is full on conquest, to literally, like we mentioned, the exact opposite in Last Hero Standing. I can see how that would be a really tough flip to make. So Osaka, who is obviously our current world champion, he was eliminated in the round of 16, which was kind of unfortunate. But again, like he was another one that had to do that really quick switch over between formats. So in the end, Super JJ actually was the champion, taking home $10,000. And he took Stan Sifka down 5-0 with his Reno Freeze Mage deck, which was just crazy. He won the first 2 matches just strictly off Reno. He won the 3rd match off of the Torch, which is basically just like another bonus cheaper fireball. Like it was crazy that he was actually going in and winning with new cards. So I'm excited for the rest of this adventure. I think we're going to see a lot of innovation. Did you guys manage to actually watch that 5-0 finals?
Not the whole thing. I watched a little bit. I saw, like him healing up pretty heavy with Reno. Reno fits so well into a deck like that because you are going to draw through most of your deck at some point. So if you track everything, he's not playing like 1-0s of every card.
He's not.
He's playing a lot of 2-0s, but just knows like by the end, I'm not going to have a bunch of doubles left in my deck, right? When I'm playing Freeze Mage. So it fits perfectly in there. And then, like you said, the Torch is like basically you can have 1 fireball in your deck, and then you can play your Torch as some sort of early removal, and then it becomes late game burn. So it's like that's a perfect card for that deck. But no, he's a player who hasn't won anything like huge yet, and he's been around for a while as a pretty good open tournament player and stuff. So it's cool to see new names winning big major tournaments.
I feel like Super JJ was in possibly the Pro League, because I know I've seen him play.
No, he's played a lot of tournaments.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
But he hasn't like a major victory or anything like that.
Yeah, he placed in the top 16 in the Hearthstone Pro League. So didn't do all that well, and that's the only other major tournament under his belt.
Yeah, he's not like an
top
unknown.
16 isn't all
he's
that
not like a
well.
completely
Top
unknown
16's
player.
Pretty good.
He streams and he's a good player. But yeah, this is a really, really, really big victory for him.
In the world where there's been a bunch of tournaments and you just took first place in a major one, it is surprising when people look at your history and go, "Wait, that's it."
Yeah,
one other tournament and like not even top 10. so congrats to you, man. That's awesome. So before we jump into strategy, where we're going to talk a lot about Reno Jackson, let's thank our patrons, because Dinger Chicken is supported by our epic patrons over at patreon.com/TAC. If you like the show, if you want to support us, go check it out. That is where you can do so. This week we want to thank James D, Matt J, Jared S, Tim K, and Patrick B. This Patrick has no C in Patrick, which is cray.
And Patrick B. I feel like I might know who that is.
Yeah, but there's no C in it,
There's
so
no
it's
C.
gotta be gotta be fake, man. I don't think
Can't be a Patrick without a C in it. That doesn't make no sense.
No, it doesn't make. And actually, it is not the Patrick we're thinking of.
Oh, okay.
I just real quick, I was like, I don't want to read last names on air, but no, it is not Mr. Beja.
Okay.
So, anyways, let's get into this week's strategy talk.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
Reno Jackson, let's talk about this Harrison Jones wannabe with the mustache.
People said that there was no Harrison in the adventure, but Reno Jackson literally says like something about Harrison at like one point, right? Like, did you guys catch that? He says
I
like,
can't rember what the quote was, but you're
like
right.
Harrison couldn't get this far, or where's Harrison right now, or something. But so he's in there. He's mentioned, kinda.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, release another Harrison Jones card? Like,
Yeah, no.
I mean, you could do like the Temple of Doom variant, where it's just like a white shirt all cut up, and he's got a machete.
Well, he might. Maybe we don't know. Maybe he shows up at the end or something, and he's like, good job, Reno. Yeah.
Maybe he's the crazy looking ethereal mummied up dude. He's gonna undo his wraps at the end, and it's gonna be Harrison.
That belongs in a museum.
Harrison Jones is gonna be the final boss, guys. Mark me. Mark my words.
Oh wow! All right.
Man.
I don't believe what I'm saying, but it'd be
Oh, there
pretty...
you go. If only Harrison could see me now. That's what he says. All right.
That's what it is. Gotcha. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of Reno Jackson decks going around. We talked already quite a bit about Freeze Mage. It's very popular once again. Never really went away. It's always existed in some form or another, but very popular again, thanks to the Forgotten Torch, and also thanks to Reno Jackson.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, Freeze Mage is a perfect deck for Reno because the whole idea is to draw deep into your deck. You're gonna draw a lot of your cards, and you stall the game out. And if the opponent gets you really low, and you have ice block up or something like that, and then they break the ice block, and then you heal to 30 the very next turn, that demoralizes people, and they might not have enough damage left to finish you, even if you don't do your win condition, which is like a bursty combo, right?
Yeah.
So it's like another win condition essentially for Freeze Mages, which I think is really cool.
It's just great, because mages didn't have enough direct damage already.
Yeah. This is the first Reno Jackson deck that I played, was the Freeze Mage, and I didn't find one. I just made one. I just figured, okay, I'll take out a Fireball, and I think I took out like a Loot Hoarder or something like that, and then just put in Reno, and that was pretty much all the changes I made. It was one Torch and Reno Jackson, and then the basic rest of it, and it worked right out the gate. Even though one of the problems for Freeze Mage was always getting rushed down by aggro, where you couldn't even react. If I could live long enough to have one ice block up or something at some point and then heal all the way back up, I was winning games I never would have won before. So that was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, it is a little bit difficult if you're playing an aggro deck to actually, unless you get an absolutely perfect draw and they have nothing to counter you with, it is kind of hard to actually beat somebody by turn 6. So you play Reno Jackson on turn 6, go all the way back up to 30. In some cases, people have been tweeting us that they're healing for 27, 28, really, really close to death. All of a sudden, you're way back to 30, and aggro decks are just kind of like, well, crap, I have no cards in my hand now.
Yeah. The game, it's never felt like this. When you have Reno in your hand, and you have nothing but one-ofs left in your deck. We'll talk about Reno Lock Warlocks in a moment, which only have one-ofs in the deck. There's literally a lot of these aren't running any duplicates. Mm-hmm. That feeling is unlike anything I've experienced in Hearthstone. I feel totally and completely safe if I have Reno in my hand. It's just no, I can just go down to sub 10 if it's a hunter. Maybe I'll keep myself above 15 if I'm really fearing a double
kill command.
Kill command. There you go. Thank you. Brain's not working. But against a lot of decks, come up against a Zoolock or something, it's no, it's fine. You can just keep hitting me until I just come back and you run out of steam. It'll be great. Have a good time.
There's a lot of strategy to it, though. You want to time it just right, to get you want to wait for them to use a bunch of burst. And I think it was Strife Crow I was watching, who had a situation where he had Reno in his hand and a heal bot. And he went into this whole thing about why you should play Reno first most of the time if you're around 15 than the heal bot, because Reno's going to be bad if you're at 24 later. If you heal bot and then you're at 24 and then you're now my only heal is Reno, which is so much better low. I want to use that at 14. He's I don't need to wait until I'm at 2. I'll use it at 14 and then I'll heal bot when I'm at 22. And it's I've just healed for so much, they're not going to be able to kill me, right?
Yeah.
So there's just so much strategy involved in the timing of playing Reno Jackson.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And what you're talking about right there with Strife Co. too is the thing we talk about all the time, which is the pros think X amount of turns ahead. And he's doing that as well. He's using 2 cards as an example, but he's filling in the gaps, however many turns it's going to be before he uses Hillbot, what he's going to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, there is some talk in our chat room about how Reno Jackson is a buff to the deck tracker, because he does not go orange when you only have one-ofs left in your deck, which is something Ben Bro did address. And actually, I think he talked to us in person about it for a moment about it, because it's actually a really tricky thing to implement, because the way that your deck is actually randomized, it would have to run a bunch of queries every time a card is drawn. It would have to rerun the query and stuff like that, and it would slow the whole game down, because he's oh, there's billions of games going on.
Yeah,
but they are working on it, but it's just not as easy as
yeah, it's probably they're it would have to basically fundamentally change some of their programming to make that efficient enough to not slow down all the Hearthstone servers and make your games really suck.
Yeah, it was an ongoing Twitter conversation he was having, and he said that, quote, it puts a lot of load on the servers to do the operation hundreds of times a game to make sure it's correctly colored. He said that it's still probably doable, but we can't just do it the way we did the other cards that have a glow around them when
they're querying the board or your hand. And this is querying like what's left in your deck, right? That hasn't even been turned over yet.
Every single card in your deck.
Yeah. So it's just a lot more information for the program and the servers to handle at one given time. So and plus everyone's playing Reno Jackson decks right now. So like it's got to go to every single game of Hearthstone being played right now.
Right. That's gonna stress the servers like crazy, and also a lot of people playing this like I was in an airport on my 4G. Like, not everyone's it's interesting. I like that he gave this in-depth like explanation too, because like we still haven't gotten an explanation like this about deck slots. We still don't know why there aren't deck slots.
We don't have enough queries. The servers would crash if you had 10 deck slots. Yeah, the answer totally makes sense. However, it would be better if they could figure out another way to program the game where this type of thing wouldn't be like some sort of game-breaking thing. Which cards like this may make them rethink like some of their language that they've used previously, which overall would be a good thing. Reno Jackson might just fix the game in more ways than one.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Reno Lock a little bit. Which, if you're watching on the video, these Reno decks, man, I'm struggling with how we should best present them because there's so many cards. They're literally like Brian Kibler's Reno Lock is 30 unique cards long. So I just grabbed my website, and you're looking at Hearthhead right now.
And you can actually see where he broke the screenshot
on his post.
His website.
Yeah, you can see where he kind of put it together, and the deck lists are just ridiculous. But anyway, this is how I've decided to do it for now. I really like this deck. I've been playing a version that was posted on Reddit that isn't Brian Kibler's. It was from Edwin6555. It's very similar. There's a few differences, like it doesn't have the Acidic Swamp Ooze. It doesn't have Dark Peddler, which Kibler's is running. And I don't believe it has Jiraxis or Ragnaros either, which Kibler is also running. But other than that, it's very similar in the way it plays out. Which is kind of like, you're just kind of like the curve works out really well, because even though there's no duplicates, you still have a decent curve. You still have a good amount of 1 drops, 2 drops, 3 drops, etc.
And you have good options in pretty much every slot. So you just kind of try to play on curve, and then at some point heal all the way back up. Like that's basically like he's got plenty of stall cards in here, and then some powerful bombs and stuff like that. So it's basically just and now I have a question that maybe you guys can answer. Reno Jackson just says heal back to full, correct? He doesn't say heal to 30.
Yes. No, he says heal to full. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So if you have already played Jiraxis, you would heal back to 15.
You go to 15, yeah.
Yeah. And if you are Ragnaros, you'd heal back to 8.
Yes.
Yes. Right. And it wouldn't matter if it said heal to 30, right? Because those effects change what your maximum health is anyway. So
if it said 30, then it would change what your maximum health is, I'm sure. If it did say that. But
no, because Antique Heal Bot doesn't heal you past 15 if
but okay, that's true.
Overheal.
Yeah, it says heal.
I guess it would depend if it said like heal you for 30 or
set your health
change
to 30.
your health. Yeah, set your health to 30.
Set your health to 30. Yeah.
Right.
But it's just one of those little things. Like it made me actually. I'm seeing he plays Jiraxis. I didn't play Jiraxis in my version of it because I was like, if I'm gonna have this, I'd rather just have Mal'Ganis as my 9-drop Warlock card, and not put myself in a situation where yes, I know Jiraxis is a really good card, but not put myself in a situation where 15 is the most I can heal to, because there are decks you play against where 15 isn't enough with Jiraxis, right? So it's an interesting call on his part. I'll have to test it out and try out Jiraxis myself.
Yeah. Chat room saying, though, when you actually play it, it does a plus 30 animation on the heal.
Yeah, so the same that you would see with... I think what it does, it just says plus 30 no matter what, right?
That's what chat room is saying, and I honestly do not remember.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a weird card, man.
I've been too busy
how you think about Hearthstone.
I've been too busy laughing when I play him to pay attention to the numbers that appear over my hero portrait.
Yeah. It's also like, I think even though we've seen a lot of successful Reno decks, we're like far, far away from what the refined ones will be when we actually get there, because people are doing, like, I was playing Fatigue Warrior and I was like, how much armor stuff should I still put in here if I'm already have this card that heals me to full health? Like, if I'm always plus armor, do I ever need this card? So do I need like Shield Maidens and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
If I have this card that I want to use to actually heal me for a lot, does it even make sense to have a bunch of armor? So it's kind of a weird predicament. But
yeah. Now chat room's confirming it heals you for 30 because you do die if you play Akanai Soul Priest and Reno. So it is doing.
So so it doesn't heal you for the remainder; it heals you for a straight 30.
Yep.
Okay, that's good to know.
Also, don't play Reno if you've got a Soul Priest out.
Yeah, don't put Akanai Soul Priest in your Reno decks. PSA.
Oh man, I would have loved to have been the person to figure that out without reading the internet first.
It's like the Austin Powers thing. You're like, I also like to live dangerously. How can I Soul Priest in my Reno deck?
If Harrison could see me now, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's so
the suicide deck. You got Fatigue Warrior decks. You got Reno Lock. You got Suicide Lock or Suicide Priest that just kills itself.
Jocelyn, did you get a chance to try out the Reno Lock deck?
I did. I didn't get to play it nearly as much as I wanted to. It was okay. I didn't immediately fall in love with the playstyle because the one that I played the Reddit version, and it just kind of felt like a weird combo of Zoo with handlock stuff. And I don't know. Maybe I just couldn't wrap my head around the strategy or what, but I was just kind of like, I don't love this. So... And I'm not saying it's a bad deck. I just it didn't fit my kind of comfort zone, my play style. So I'll have to spend some more time with it. I actually think I'd probably have more fun trying the Freeze Mage, the Reno Freeze Mage.
Gotcha. Well, it's honestly not a whole lot different about it other than the torch and the Reno.
Yeah.
I think though with any of these Reno decks, the style becomes so much slower than anything that we've ever seen, right? So. Before you're trying to build tempo to have enough damage on board plus whatever burn in your hand to finish them off. And now you're basically just control the board, put your stuff on the board and wait to outlast them, right? And waiting even with like stuff like the Reno Lock or the Freeze Mage, waiting for fatigue is sometimes the right way to play it, because if you wait for fatigue and then you play Reno, like that's like you reset while you're in fatigue and the opponent might not be able to. Now there's also going to be this weird thing like it's like Reno chicken, like who's going to play Reno first?
Who's going to Reno first?
Yeah, because you want to make sure you time it so that you don't do it first, because then you're behind in the fatigue war when they play their Reno. So it's good. It's just everything is different with Reno, man. It's cool.
Yep. I'm digging it. We've got a lot of links to quite a few different decks in the show notes. Once the show is up, you can find it over at amove.tv/TAC. Look for the episode 118 post. But I think that'll wrap up our strategy talk. Now, before we move on, we want to thank the fine folks over at Squarespace for sponsoring the Angry Chicken, because if you didn't know it, amove.tv, it's a Squarespace page. I don't know what I'm doing. I just like making pretty websites. Squarespace allows me to do that quickly, easily. I can give people, Jocelyn, I can give you access to it. You can make posts while I'm on my honeymoon. I love it. It's great. So check them out. They are sponsoring this episode. You can use the code TAC on your order, and you'll get 10% off your first order with Squarespace.com.
And if pinging your face is the correct play, Squarespace will tell you.
What? Will they?
Are you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how
next level strats.
Yeah, he had Squarespace in his ear during the Hearthstone World Championships, and Squarespace was like, "Ping your face." Ping your face, trust me.
That's a very tall accusation.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
That sounds a little bit cheaty.
Disclaimer: everything Dills says about Squarespace generally is
totally true. Yeah, that's correct. Thanks, man.
Okay,
thanks
cool.
for doing the first part of that sentence so I can finish it.
Oh, geez, wonderful. Well, let's take a crazy game story.
The whole world gone crazy.
You're in trouble now. You got it!
You can send your crazy game stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com, and our story today comes to us from Mark. And Mark says, "Hello, angry Cornish game hen." Well, it should be hens at least. Or,
okay, yeah.
or
there's one hen, and then two, roosters?
You know, I would like to say the C word.
I should know this by now.
There's one hen and two cocks of the walk.
Okay, I'll go with that too.
Yeah.
I was like, there is another word for rooster, but I'm gonna be nice and not call you guys that.
You got it. A hen for the win, and a cock of the walk. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Dills is just angry. He's just angry.
Wait! No, we're both cocks of the walk.
What?
Well, you said
Dills wants to be on the walk too.
You said it like singular, and I was just like, well, I'm just going to call Dills angry. I'm just going to keep running with this. So, anyway, Mark says, "Do I have a great crazy game story for you? I was using a reincarnate shaman against a secret paladin. I had a Baron Rivendare and a Haunted Creeper present on the board. My opponent had a Dr. Boom and a 6/5 Kvaldir Raider earlier in the game. The new secret Sacred Trial. Secret if your opponent has 3 or more minions and plays another destroy the newly played minion. This is a new paladin spell that came out just this week in League of Explorers. I guess technically just last week. That had been played. He says, it was my opponent's turn and he played Mysterious Challenger. He got 5 of the 6 secrets available for his class. I knew one had to be Sacred Trial. I attacked Dr. Boom with the Creeper, which gave me a total of 5 minions. I then played my Sylvanas. Repentance activated, followed by Sacred Trial. I stole his 6/5 and 7/6 and emoted sorry. I won with the help of my opponent. Keep up the great work.
Damn. So yeah, working that card against you. I said when I saw that card, the Sacred Trial card, that this card is not good. Right? Because
okay, so better or worse than Eye for an Eye?
I think Paladin now has a worse secret than Eye for an Eye.
Is it? Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Redemption for Jocelyn here, I think, because it's the easiest one to play around of all of them, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I just don't play a 4th minion.
I agree, but I mean, that's assuming anyone plays it. Now, I would argue that it's not that good. A lot of people probably aren't going to play it, so if you play it, you're actually going to get somebody here and there.
You think you're going to catch someone off guard? Yeah.
I think there's an argument to be made there. I still like it more than Eye for an Eye.
Yeah.
That's my point. I think it's a terrible card. I think Eye for an Eye is a terrible
Eye
card.
for an Eye will at least do 1 damage at some point, right? Where this card may never kill anything for the entirety of the game because you just go, oh yeah, I just never play a 4th creature. It's like, and once you've tested for all the other things, there's no other thing it could be. So, and everyone will always test for all the other things first, and then go, "Oh, wait a minute,
not everyone.
It's that other one no one plays."
Yeah, I'm gonna get somebody. All right.
Actually,
I'm not.
See your Sacred Trial deck. I think the key is you're gonna have to do stuff like play Hunger Dragon and stuff like that in there to give them minions, right? And then force them to have to play.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
Do we actually know how this interacts with Dr. Boom? Because if you have...
Well, Dr. Boom is the card you played.
Yeah.
But
so it wouldn't do anything because when you play a minion and you have
Battle cry happens before... Battle cries happen before the creature hits the board. We know that.
Yeah.
So the Boom bots actually technically come out before Dr. Boom hits the board. So I'm going to guess if you have 1 creature on board already and then you play Dr. Boom, you get 2 Boom bots and then Dr. Boom hits and it kills Dr. Boom. That's what I'm going to guess. That's but I don't know if that's exactly how it works.
Interesting.
It
I
kills
feel like we need to do some science.
Yeah. But I mean, it's the same type of thing as why the Mirror Entity copies your SI7 agent, because your Battlecry actually kills it first. It gets the secret, the mage gets the secret, then the 3/3 hits the board, and then it copies the 3/3. That type of stuff.
The chat room is filling up with people saying that Boom dies in that scenario.
Kills Dr. Boom. Okay, well there you go. So
it's OP, I guess. It's
never mind. This card is
it's like a 1-mana big game hunter without a minion, I guess. But
in my world, if you have the potential to kill Dr. Boom, or you have the potential to do 1 damage, I go with the potential to kill Dr. Boom as a better card.
All right. But
especially if it comes out of your Mysterious Challenger, because then your opponent's going into turn 7. So
good point.
Turn 7, Boom, dead.
Yeah. It could also never kill anything, though. could
That's
also
true.
kill anything.
That is very true. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to not play that, and I'm also not going to play Eye for an Eye. And
All right, there you go. That's a really good plan, Garrett.
I'm going to live my life as a happy paladin. That's what I'm going to do. That's my plan.
You know what? While we're at it, I'm not going to play secrets at all. Screw that. I'm not going to play this challenger. We're just going mid-range pally. That's what we're doing.
Also confirm next Hearthstone podcast, the spiritual successor to the Angry Chicken will be the Happy Paladin. So.
All paladins are pretty happy these days, though.
I think so. Yeah.
Uther always seems like, or not Uther, Tyrion always seems like he's a little too uptight.
You think
He's
so?
a pretty serious dude, though.
He's very serious. He's
defender of the light. You know, he's got a lot of.
He's the defender of a stick up his ass. Uther, he can get down. I've seen him. I've rolled with Uther in the Nexus and Heroes of the Storm. He knows when to kick back and chill it with Arthas.
Yeah. He's like, hey, you died. You came back to life. Don't worry about it. Don't ask questions. We don't care. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
But Tyrion, man, he just takes things a little too seriously.
Every time he walks in the room, it's dun 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 dun. You're like, all right, dude, we get it. You're here, Tyrion. Settle down, man.
That sounded like the 90s Jock Jam remix of the song that plays when Tyrion goes, it's the board.
I don't have the same tenor to my voice, but the timbre is, I think, what I was looking for. But yes. Yeah.
There you go.
Better. Closer.
Catholic school does not go to waste. It is time to take some emails.
Hello?
Hello, it's me.
Hello?
Just quickly, do you get my message?
Yep.
Oh.
Hello, brother.
You can also send your emails to tacpodcast@gmail.com. Our first email today comes to us from Arbiter, which just all the more rubs the salt in my wounds that I still don't have Halo 5 yet. Arbiter says, hello, Tac. I saw your live episode at BlizzCon. In it, you mentioned the reaction of the community to the new cards and the current tempo meta, which got me thinking. I normally play fun custom decks and work my way from rank 20 to rank 10 every season with these decks. Currently, I'm working on creating the trifecta of mill decks, Druid, Rogue, and Warrior. I have seen plenty of tempo all throughout this range and still climb at about the same rate with my weird decks. The reason I'm saying this is that 90+% of the Hearthstone community falls between those ranks, yet I've never raged or struggled because it's all tempo or anything like that. I think if people try to have fun and be creative, then they might get more out of this game and find that they can still ladder up if that is what they are interested in. What do you think? I think I like your style, Arbiter.
I think this really echoes the whole Dills to whatevs thing. Like you say
all
all the
time. That's
time.
exactly what I did.
Yeah, you do fun stuff, and you usually make it somewhere up and around 5-ish. And I mean, I think it works. If you don't like tempo, don't play tempo.
No, it's true. I think though the issue here is that while this works for you because you have adjusted your goals, people who their goals don't match what you're saying. They want to get to legend. They want to do whatever. They get frustrated when the game is played in one style over and over and over again. And we've seen a big shift in that since this first wing of League of Explorers. So, I think already whatever rage those people have had has quieted quite a bit because they're all just messing around with new weird stuff. But I'm with you, man. If you want to make Hearthstone fun, you will still climb the ladder if you just play enough Hearthstone and you commit to the fun aspect of it. But some people, that's not really what they're interested in. They want to get past all the ranks, get to the legend, then grind out there. And for those people, this method's not going to work. But I'm on your side, Arbiter, and that's the whole Dills to whatevs thing was born out of that because I was just frustrated with trying.
You don't think that your whole Dills to whatevs is viable if you had more time? I mean, like you seem to be constantly playing.
I do.
Yeah.
No, I do. I will find out now that I'm going to start streaming like daily. Of course, I missed half this month because of BlizzCon and whatever. But I vow to try the Dills to whatevs thing for an entire month and see where I end up. Because I think I would end up like Kibler and a lot of streamers do this. They play weird whatever decks. Mm-hmm. And then when they get up to the legend ranks, then they start to try hard if the ranks matter for World Championship points, right? So it is doable. It's just how much time do you have to put into the game, but do you want to spend that much time? If you have a goal and the goal is to get to legend and then try hard, you're gonna try hard. So,
and
there's nothing wrong with that either.
if you've got enough time to actually grind out your games, like even if you're playing silly crazy decks and you're having fun and you're winning more than you're losing, then eventually you'll get up there.
Oh yeah, and I mean I
want to see somebody milkshake to legend.
I think it would be done. I think it would be yeah, that would be really frustrating at a certain point. But
Would you
no,
say
but I think
that
any
you're-
deck could get you there if you learn how to play it correctly, and it's not just a deck full of Goldshire Footmen, you know.
And then you would be able to say that your milkshake brings all the WC points to the yard.
That's a good point. Yeah, and like no one else has ever been able to say that. So you'd be like, whether I'm rank 1 or not, I'm rank 1 of this thing that I came up with. But yeah, no, I think that there's a lot of viable ways to play this game. But you know, when you put it's all tempo and caps, I think you're also like saying that people who get frustrated because they want the game to be like varied, like they're freaking out or something. Like I don't think so. I think they're just reacting to the game that used to be varied and then for a time wasn't, right? So that was the frustration. Not that like I'm not playing tempo, but all I play against is tempo does get frustrating. So I think that's where most of the frustration was coming from.
I think some of those people were freaking out.
Oh, no, definitely. But there were a lot of like well thought out arguments about this game is going to have some issues if it doesn't address this problem, right? Like if you played Magic and every deck was the same and everyone was playing red, white aggro decks and that's all you ever played against, like the game wouldn't be nearly as fun as playing against all kinds of different stuff all the time.
Yeah, if
so
only
this
we
game
had...
will be at its best when there's lots of viable decks, I think.
I think it would also be pretty good if we had multiple formats. So if one format gets stale, you can switch to the other.
That's another way to deal with this issue for sure. Although
Competitive
like
arena.
these new cards seem to have changed a lot. So
Yes, absolutely.
for right now, I'm just like, hey, whatever, man. It's all good. It's all good. But if I think it's not all good, I will say it. And I think that's what we do on this show. Like when we think that there's something, because we care about the game a lot. So it doesn't come from a place of like, we're pissed off at Hearthstone. It comes from a place of like, we want Hearthstone to be great, right? And that's where that kind of stuff comes from. So
I agree. Dills, who's the next email come from while we're talking about where places
we got
come
one from Jacob who says, "Hi, Angry Chickens. What would you think about an Inspire minion?" Oh, I read this one earlier. This is an interesting thing. What would you think about an Inspire minion for the Warrior class? Still unsure about the stats. That has the following Inspire mechanic: Inspire, give taunt to your hero for 1 turn. While this minion is alive. So essentially, all opposing minions would have to attack your hero directly for the next turn, unless your opponent can kill the inspired minion with a spell, since your hero can't be silenced. I believe it fits the class, since it gives more use to the warrior's hero power and armor-generating cards, and is also thematic, since warriors should be tanking damage anyways. Would a card like this be absolute trash, or would it be OP in Arena or Constructed? This card would be OP, first of all.
Yes. It
Yeah.
would be really good in Arena because it would give the Warriors' hero power a purpose, which at the moment it is objectively the worst hero power in Arena.
I think the problem, though, is that this card can't exist the way he's describing it, the way Jacob's describing it, because what it's doing is it's allowing like there to be no recourse on the other person's turn except for like one way, which is a spell or whatever.
A direct
It's
damage
like lock
spell.
the game up, right? So I think you could reword it somehow, but it's like being able to like cast like immune on your board every single turn that the creature's alive, right? By just hitting your hero power. So, but I love this idea. It'd be cool to figure out another way to do something like this.
I also wouldn't mind it if they made it so that if you could start giving heroes taunt, you could also start silencing heroes. I don't see anything wrong with that if you could get around it all the same ways you can get around taunt regularly.
But I don't necessarily want you to be able to silence off like an ice block effect or something like that, though, because like it's too important for what it does that it can't be silenced, right? And otherwise, people would just run owls like every single deck. But I agree. Like there might be like certain silenceable things, right? So you can't silence immune, but you could silence taunt, stuff like that. And you could maybe say like immune is unsilenceable on a minion too, or something like that. There could be unsilenceable effects. And you could have...
You don't think that would get too complicated?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, this is... Dude, if this exists, we're already talking complicated, right? Like, if there's...
We're also talking about...
Have taunt.
We're also talking about a game, and this is me getting a little gripey, where there's a mechanic called discipline, or discover, and nowhere in the tooltip for it does it say 4 times more likely to give you a class card. That is
so there are
major.
things that are kind of just known, right?
That is a major complication to a very simple idea that I feel should be explained in game somewhere.
Yeah. But okay, so it's an interesting idea, and I think there's like a way to implement something similar to this. But the problem is if you do it on your turn, the way Hearthstone works is like, I did this thing on my turn, now go, and there's like no way to like prevent it from happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to like save a spell for this one particular card if it existed, which would mean it would like lock you down from other stuff. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I think you'd have to rework it just a little.
This is also interesting because, like, what if rogues could stealth their hero?
Oh my god!
Start
That would be
expand.
so cool.
Start
You
expanding
can't hit
this.
the hero at all.
Yeah. What if priests could make their attack value the same as their health? Oh my god!
Or targeting your own hero for things like Shadow Flame or stuff like that, like because you have attack, right?
Which,
like I have a weapon and then I Shadow Flame myself.
You're talking about a warlock, and that's
But you kill yourself. But yes.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like there'd be like
why
all
would you
these
wanna do
effects.
that?
All these effects would suddenly start to apply to your hero, right? That like never did before.
Yeah.
And we've actually there is I think it was Disguised Toast talked about this because if you are Jiraxis and you are that hero, that is you now, you are a demon, right?
Yep.
But when you play Mal'Ganis, you don't become a 5/17. You are still a 3/15. So they've already like established that your hero is different. Yet, Sacrificial Pact will still kill you because you are a demon. But you don't get a buff off of Mal'Ganis. So there's like stuff that doesn't quite add up. But Blizzard has just decided this is just how it works. So go. Like figure it out. I don't know.
Right, and I kind of disagree with that. I don't like that's how they handle some of the interactions in Hearthstone. I think everything should be decipherable from reading the card.
I agree, man. I 100% agree. Like he had a whole bunch. You should watch this video if you haven't seen it. Like the whole thing about like whenever.
I have seen it. It's my favorite Disguised Toast video.
Yeah, it's really, really well thought out, and he explains all of the stuff. And one thing he mentioned was, players who've been playing since beta are going to be like, oh, you got Sacrificial Pact off your Nefarian, and then you didn't kill the Jiraxis. You're such a noob. And it's like, well, how's he supposed to know? Like the reason we all know is because everyone made a big deal about it when they first found out. But how is a new player supposed to know that interaction exists, right?
Yep.
There's nothing that would indicate that Jiraxis is a demon still at this point. He's a hero at this point, right? So.
Yep.
But anyway, Jacob, your idea is cool, but it creates a lot of problems.
Yeah, but I'd love to see something like this baked into the game, like certain minions that can grant heroes status effects like taunt, stealth, etc. So, Jocelyn, what's your last email today?
Last email comes to us from 007 who says, Dear Furious Fowl, as my card collection increases, I notice that I only need epics and legendaries. What are your thoughts on offering a card pack for a price of 200 or 300 gold, which guarantees an epic card or better? So current card packs only give you a rare or better. I would gladly pay extra gold for this. Also, making this a staple of an arena run pack would also entice more people to play arena. I kind of like this idea. I don't know if Blizzard would ever do it, but I mean, everyone's card collections, obviously, it becomes harder and harder to get epics and legendaries. Like, that's always what people are missing. And that's kind of where your dust comes in, which is why I think, like, there's already a vehicle for you to get epics and legendaries. It just takes a lot of card packs and a really long time, and it's a really big grind. I don't know. What do you guys think? For 200 or 300 gold, do you think that's enough to give you a special pack with epics or better?
I think that's overpriced to guarantee an epic. Yeah. I think that's overpriced. Like how much does it cost to actually craft a regular epic card?
400?
It's 400? Okay.
I think. Or is it 800?
No,
it's 400. It's 400.
Yeah, because it's 1600. Okay. So maybe it's not overpriced. But still, I mean, I don't know. I feel like when I open enough packs, I just get enough epics. I don't know. I've never... Yeah, I don't see why Blizzard would do this. But maybe that's not overpriced. Maybe that is right. I don't know. It's just, it seems to me like the way right now is like fine. And it gets really complicated when you have a bunch of tiers of packs to buy. I don't know. Things get wonky.
If everyone had, well, you're talking to the guy that has the worst luck on the earth.
So if you can
so Garrett,
guarantee
what do
your
you
luck,
think? Yeah.
well, okay. So then, what do you do though? Do you have like a pack that guarantees a legendary that costs like 1,000 gold or something? Like,
Yeah,
I think that's kind of what you would have to do. Is
in
you
the
would have to
land
have
of-
your packs that guarantee a rare, packs that guarantee an epic, and then packs that guarantee a legendary, and have them priced accordingly. I have no idea what you would even price something that guaranteed a legendary. Like
700 gold. We already have that. It's a wing of an adventure.
Well, then you get into legendaries that are a lot harder to find than other legendaries, which is okay. I mean, we've kind of had this discussion before when we've talked about how games like Magic have pre-made decks that you can go buy with guaranteed rarer, like something that's a rarer card in it, even though but then there's some cards of the same rarity that you just can't guarantee you'll find anywhere. You have to get it through cracking packs or off the secondhand market somewhere online. And that'd be interesting to see something like that in Hearthstone as well. And I almost feel like that this discussion could be slotted in here. There's a discussion to be had about that.
Yeah, I think Ben Brode had talked on his Twitter that they're aware that the problem that newer players have when they come in, and they will address it at some point, which means I think we'll see something like the adventures may come down in price, and we might see older packs come down in price somewhat. So if it's like you're missing brand new epics, that's probably going to be something you're still going to have to fill out with just pack purchases. But if you're missing older epics, you can maybe like purchase more packs for less or something and then fill out, because I see why it is a problem for new players for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I play on my my EU account, and it's frustrating when like I played through the first wing with gold this time, and I only had like 1,600 gold, and I was like, damn, there goes all my gold. But now I got Reno Jackson. I'm like, wait, I can't make a one-ofs deck because I don't have that many cards. So I mean, I see the feeling of like, damn, I need more cards, and I don't have a means to really get them as fast as I want,
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's also
there's something there
because the dust system exists. Trying to make a system like this is also very problematic for Blizzard.
Yes. You have to make it equal the amount of dust that you're going to get anyway, right?
Exactly. So because all of a sudden, if you cut the cost of the base of the original vanilla Hearthstone packs by anything at all, if you don't change the amount of dust that the cards from those packs also give you, all of a sudden you have a significantly more efficient way of basically buying dust.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that has to be kind of avoided. So, I mean, if they were able to price it where it made sense, and Blizzard felt like they were still getting the return they were supposed to get for you buying the packs, then maybe you could see something like this. But I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
I think we will see price adjustments down the line, but not like this.
Yeah, I do kind of like this idea in theory, but I just don't really see how it would work. But sometimes, yeah, it does. It just feels bad when the stuff that you need, like I remember trying to build Handlock, and you need all those giants, and all the giants are epics, and it's just like, man, I just have to tank all my dust into building this deck, or I don't get to play Handlock.
Yep. No, I remember that.
Or
that
Control Warrior is another one, because it's so heavy on legendaries that if you don't have them, you just can't play it, and that kind of sucks.
It does, but the card games are supposed to have these rare cards so that when you get them, it's like it means something, right? So I don't know. There's no good answer that makes everybody happy, and Blizzard makes money, and all this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And we don't want to confuse people.
Yeah, I love the fact that like people are always giving us ideas on these, and then we can discuss them because Blizzard might or might not listen to the show, so maybe they'll hear them.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they do. I don't know if two members of Team 5 crashed.
None of the important people do, right?
Like, oh, shots fired.
We know that.
Rough.
We know that.
Rough.
It's basically just the intern, like Carl, and that's pretty much
Carl
it.
the intern.
Carl the intern. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Pete the janitor. That's the only people who listen to the show.
Hey, so before we end the show, podcast listeners, stick around after the break because we have an interview with two Team 5 members from BlizzCon that I will be tacking on at the end here. If you're watching the video version, it will be up on YouTube tomorrow as a separate VOD. Live crew, it'll be up tomorrow. We have been traveling like crazy. Oh, man, I'm not hanging out.
It's not short either.
No, it's like another half hour.
Trying to get you guys the thing. Because the video was like 5 gigs. and I had no internet. So I went to a cafe and was like, all right, let me upload this file. And then I was like, an hour later, I'm done with my coffee and my whatever, and it's 20%. I was like, oh no.
This was why I was really gung-ho to record it on my iPhone, because I'm like, if I do this, I know it'll be super easy to do something with this.
Yeah, but we got good quality, and we had 2 mics, so I don't know. I think it was worth it.
Yeah, I ran it through Levelator today. It sounds awesome. This is the best anything that I've ever been a part of that was recorded live has ever sounded. I'm so stoked. Last year's
rig was nice, man.
Last year's was a nightmare.
Yeah, thanks to the Showdown guys for letting us use one of their rigs, and Mike. Big shout out to Mike, who came along and was my cameraman the whole weekend. I have so much footage to edit, dude. And it's now I'm I got to do it now before it's old.
Out of date, yeah.
Yeah, do it now. What are you doing?
My stuff
Oh,
won't get old. It's fine. It's basically just me chilling and talking to people, so it's not. Yeah. Everyone knows whatever.
Dills is trying to play it cool. Everyone, he got to talk to Hunter Pence, and he may have gotten a little baseball boner. Just saying.
Yeah, a little bit. I talked to Kibler. I talked to Hunter Pence. Talked to Sparky Shocker. He's here.
That
was the real big interview.
Yeah.
Yep. Super excited for
this. And if everyone didn't see Daily Dot's Cho'Gall video, you can see Dills and I standing awkwardly close to each other.
Yeah, that was weird. It was you stand directly behind him.
It actually ended up
feel bizarre.
It ended up working really well for the Cho'Gall bit.
Yeah, that's true. We looked like a 2-headed ogre of some sort.
Yeah, we were the sexiest ogre on the block, man. I mean, if we existed in Ogreland, man, we'd be like Calvin Klein models. Yeah. It'd be wonderful. Be absolutely wonderful.
Oh, man.
That's going to do it for this episode. Thanks again to our patrons. If you enjoy the show, head on over to patreon.com/TAC. Drop us a buck or two if you enjoy it. Also, leave us reviews on the iTunes Store. We really appreciate those. This week, we want to thank the following reviewers for dropping us 5-star reviews. Thank you to Drew Chains. Thank you to all Anon 66666. Too many sixes. It's not even the number of the beast. It's just a bunch of sixes.
You put one extra, not the number of the beast anymore.
Nope. It's just 6,666, man. I don't know what you're trying to get at there. Thank you to H. Towner. Thank you to Ausinator. And thank you to Fantasy Wannabe, who said, before listening to this podcast, I was terrible at Hearthstone. I am still terrible, but at least I am entertained. So, thanks, Fantasy Wannabe.
We've done our job.
Are you not entertained?
Yeah, we're not here to make everyone good at Hearthstone. We're here to just make you laugh sometimes.
We hope to also make you good at Hearthstone, but
sure,
it's not a perfect formula. Sometimes people like Fantasy Wannabe fall through the cracks, but at least they fall through the cracks smiling.
Exactly.
So, Angry Chicken is produced by amove.tv, frogmans.com, and our Patreon producers Declan H, LVE, and Barry Scott L. Our past live shows and other videos can be found on youtube.com/amovetv. Our t-shirt is on slashloot.com, and you can follow us on Twitter at TAC Podcast, on Facebook /amovetv, and over on Reddit at tacpodcast.reddit.com. Catch us live Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/amovetv. Maybe moving that time again. Hopefully a lot earlier.
Yeah, we definitely are.
We'll talk about this after the show.
Yeah.
We'll terrible live. Now that we're all
everyone, don't get too excited.
Now that everyone,
we're gonna talk about it later.
But me, no longer has crazy day jobs where they have to go to offices. We should be able to push this even earlier in the day, so that hopefully people in the U.S. can watch, and also people across the pond can watch live. So that'll be really sweet. Alpha Geek Radio provides our mobile live stream, and BrianGriffithMusic.com does our intro music. Check them out. Dills, where can folks find you?
Check me out on Twitter. I'm at Willie Dills. You can also find my stream, which I'm finally going to be getting back to tomorrow. Didn't have a chance to today because I had to nap and work and whatnot. But twitch.tv/WillieDillsSF. I'm going to play a bunch of Reno decks and maybe some heroes and whatnot. The Instance, the Blizzard podcast about Blizzard stuff, so you don't have to. Blizzard. Stormcast, which is happening later on about Heroes of the Storm. And that's it.
Jocelyn?
Best place to keep up with me is over on Twitter. I'm at Joss Plays, which is the same as my Twitch channel. Just wanted to quickly mention, I didn't really talk about it off the top of the show, but we did actually do our 24-hour extra live stream for the Gamers In this past weekend. It went pretty well, and we ended up raising over $2,000 for Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. So it was a lot of fun. We did a lot of things. We played a lot of games. All of the VODs are highlighted on twitch.tv/amovetv if you guys want to check out some of the fun. And if you want to donate, you can actually do that right up until December 31st. So there's still time if you guys missed the stream. you can go to bit.ly/TGI2015 if you want to throw some dollars in for the kids.
Nice. Everyone should go do that, by the way. Everyone. What are you waiting for?
Thanks.
Garrett likes the kids now. When does this
Apparently.
Please, can we let that get buried, please? I don't like that. I really don't like that. I go on my Twitter and I see hashtag Garrett hates the kids. I'm like, that's not.
Oh, I'm sorry, buddy.
Like, of all of the things that have been born of this show,
I'll never talk about it again.
That is the thing I hate the most. It's terrible. It just makes me feel so bad. I'm like, man, I'll take Garrett Rage any day. Bring Garrett facts back and Dills facts and Joss facts. Those are fun.
Those are fun. Garrett fact. Garrett hates the kids.
At least that's like a standalone thing. It's not its own hashtag. So, anyways, follow me on Twitter at GarrettArt over at newmoonart.com. That's my graphic design website. I'm on Into the Nexus with Kyle Ferguson talking everything Heroes of the Storm. Got a big show coming up this Thursday. And I'm on the Angry Nerd talking to myself. I'll have a new episode going up this week. Kind of diffusing everything, just like settling my thoughts after the craziness that was the wedding and the honeymoon and BlizzCon. This episode was wonderful. This is the most I've been able to sit down and digest BlizzCon since being at BlizzCon. Because it was just like, oh, it's over. Okay, cool. Off to Maui. Holy crap, I got to not die on cliff roads. So, thanks again to squarespace.com for supporting us. Use the code TAC to get 10% off your first order. That's going to do it for this week's episode. Thank you all for watching, listening. Stay tuned for the Team 5 interview from BlizzCon 2015. We will see you Thursday for this week's Brawl episode. Job's done.
Job's done.
Job's done.
Yes!